Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's maths lesson. I hope you're well today. Are you ready to do some super maths? I hope you are. Let's see what we're going to need for today's lesson. So today you will need a whiteboard and pen, a pencil and paper, and a ruler. If you need to go and get any of those things, pause the video here and I will see you in a moment. Now, I'm feeling in a bit of a magical mood today. Are you feeling magical? Shall we do some magical maths? Well, we're going to begin with today by seeing if we can use our magic powers to guess each other's numbers. So, do you think you can guess what number I've got hidden in that mystery box? Well, I think you'll be able to do it in just a moment. Now, I'm going to see if I can guess your number as well. So, have you got your whiteboard ready? The first thing I would like you to do is to think of a number between 1 and 10. Okay, think of a number and write it down at the top of your whiteboard. Do that for me now. Okay, are you ready? Now, the next thing I want you to do, we're going to do a little bit of maths here. I want you to add 2 to your number. So you can write a little number sentence, your number, add 2, and write the answer. Okay, do that now on your whiteboard. Okay, ready for the next step? The next step, we're going to use some of our multiplying by 2 skills. I want you to multiply your new number by 2. So the answer to the last one, multiply it by 2 times 2. Write a little number sentence on your whiteboard. Okay, have you got that? Remember, if you at any time, you can always pause the video if you need a little bit more time. Okay, next bit. So the answer to that one, what I would like you to do is to subtract 2. That's take away 2 from it. So take away 2 from your number. Okay, have you got that? Next bit, I would like you to divide it by 2. Sometimes we call that halving, splitting it into 2 equal groups or sharing it between 2. Okay, have you got that? And the last thing I would like you to do is to subtract, to take away the number you first thought of that you wrote at the top of your whiteboard. So subtract the number that you first thought of. Once you've done it, fold your arms. Okay, I'm going to predict, trying to guess your number now. So is the number that you've just written on your whiteboard number 1? Hopefully it is. I hope my magic powers have worked. And that's a little magic trick that perhaps you would like to try with some people at home as well. And that's warmed up our maths brains and we're ready to do today's maths lesson. Now, today, our question is, how do brilliant mathematicians use pictograms? We'll be finding out in a little bit what pictograms are. But let's just go back in time for a moment and think back to yesterday's lesson. If you remember yesterday, we were looking at tally charts and we're going to have a quick look at them now just to remind ourselves what tally charts are. So I've got some questions for you here, which will only take you a short time to do. So question number 1 says, how much does each tally represent? So you've got A and B to do there. Then it says draw tallies to show 7 and draw them to show 11 and then complete the tally chart. So you can quickly draw this out and you've got to use the buttons there. You have to tally the different colors and write the totals. So you can do all of this on your whiteboard if you like. So that should take you about 2 minutes. Pause the video and have a go at this task. Okay, welcome back everybody. Let's go through the answers. So the first tally was 9. We've got 5 and 4. Then the next one, we've got quite a few 5s there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lots of 5. So 4 times 5 is 20 and 2 is 22. And then it said draw tallies to show 7. So we need a 5, 5 and 2. That's how we show 7. And the next one is 11. So we need 1 5 and we need another 5. That makes 10. And how much more do we need? one more, and that makes 11. And then to complete the tally chart, well, let's look at those pink buttons. We've got 1, 2, 3 pink buttons. And then let's look at the blue. We've got 1, another one, another one. That's 3, 4, 5. So we have to close our gate. And we've got 6 altogether. And then the green buttons, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 green buttons. Okay, well done if you got those questions correct. Now, here's our friend Sonny. How are you doing today, Sonny? And oh, look what Sonny's been doing. He has been making some pictures using shapes. Do you recognize any of those shapes? Can you point to any triangles? Yes, I can see some triangles there. What other shapes are there? Oh, I know what I can see. I can see a square. Can you see any squares? Yes. And can you see the star shape? Yeah, that's an easy one. Can you count how many sides there are on the star? How many sides has it got? Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That star's got 10 sides. There's a posh name, a maths name for shapes with 10 sides, and we call shapes with 10 sides a decagon. Do you remember in one of our maths lessons recently, I was talking about crabs that have 10 legs, and they're called decapods. So the deca means 10. You can remember that with and dec. Dec means 10. So a decagon is a shape with 10 sides. And there are 2 other shapes there, which are funny looking shapes, which look a bit like bowls that way up. And those shapes are called trapeziums. We'll have a look at them in just a second. Now, Sonny, I think it'd be a good idea if we can do a little chart, a little pictogram to show the different shapes that you've got, how many of them you've used. So I'm going to draw a little chart like that, and we're going to make a pictogram. A pictogram is how we show information by using pictures and symbols. And for this pictogram, we're just going to use an X to show how many of each things there are. So let's see, how many squares can we see? There's 1. Yeah, that's the only square I can see. So I'm going to put an X there to show that there's a square. Now, how many triangles are there? There's 1. So I need an X for that. And there's 1. I need an X for that. Okay, that shape there that we called that star, we called it a decagon. And can you remember why we called it a decagon? Can you shout it out? Why is it a decagon? That's right, it's got 10 sides. Dec means 10. So we've only got 1 decagon, so I need to put 1 X there. And then do you remember I talked about those trapeziums, those shapes that look like, oh, hang on a moment, I've just noticed something. I've missed out a triangle. Can you see it? We need to go and put that triangle back on in our triangle bit on our pictogram. Okay, there we go. We've got 3 triangles, and now we've got left our trapezium. So there's a trapezium. So I'm going to put an X on my chart, and there's a trapezium. So I need to put an X on my chart. And now I've colored in all of my shapes. So I know I've used them all. And when we look at our pictogram, we can see that Sonny used 1 square, 3 triangles, 1 decagon, and 2 trapeziums. So that's what we call a pictogram. A pictogram is a way of showing information, showing data by using pictures and symbols. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, here's a question for you to have a go at. So you can pause the video in just a second, and this should take you about 5 minutes. And what you will need to do is to use your ruler to draw out a quick table. So you just need really to have 4 rows and 2 columns. And you need to write the words square, rectangle, circle, and triangle, because those are the shapes that have been used in this picture. And of course, you're going to spell them correctly because they're all on the screen there. And then you are going to use the same symbol as we used before, an X, to show how many of each shape there are. Okay, have a go at that. Pause the video and come back once you've done it. Okay, how do they get on with that? Well, let's have a little look. That's what I've done. So I can see that there are 3 squares, there are 3 rectangles, there are 6 circles, and there's 1 triangle. Can you answer a quick question? Which shape have we used the most of there? That's right, the circle. Which shape have we used the fewest times? The triangle. Well done. Now, here's our friend Sonny again, and Sonny's at home doing lots and lots of reading, and he is keeping count of how much reading he is doing each day. So you can see on this table that he's drawn here, on Monday, he spent 3 minutes reading. On Tuesday, oh, we did a lot better on Tuesday, he spent 10 minutes reading. And on Wednesday, didn't do too badly, he spent 8 minutes reading. Sonny, do you think that we could show that data, that information in a pictogram? Okay, that's what Sonny has come up with. There's Sonny's pictogram. What do you think of Sonny's pictogram? I think there's a problem with it. I'm going to ask you to pause the video and have a little think about what is the problem with Sonny's pictogram. Okay, wonder what ideas you've come up with. Well, let's have a look. I like the idea that he's done a key. Can you see this bit here? The key. So he has used for his pictogram little rectangle shapes, and every time he does a rectangle shape, that means 1 minute's reading. So that's nice and clear. That's a good thing, Sonny. And then I can see for Monday, yep, he's done 3 rectangles to show 3 minutes reading. And for Tuesday, he has done 10 rectangles to show 10 minutes reading. And for Wednesday, let's just count 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's done 8 rectangles to show that he's done 8 minutes reading. But when you look at that pictogram, it looks to me like he did most reading on Wednesday. And I know he did the most reading on Tuesday because he did 10 minutes. So I think that the rectangles that he's drawn on Wednesday, I don't think he's done his best job with them because they're a little bit bigger and he's spread them out and he hasn't lined them up with the rectangles above. Sonny, do you think you could have another go and improve that? I think he can. Right. So let's have a look. That's his first attempt. And remember, we always say in school, do it nice or do it twice. Try and do your best. But if you do make a mistake, that's fine because we learn from our mistakes, just like Sonny is doing now. Okay, so we'll start like that. We like his key, don't we? We think he's done a good job with his key. So Monday, we were quite happy with that. Yeah, he did 3 minutes reading on Monday and he drew nice, neat rectangles of that for that. And Tuesday, I think he did a good job on Tuesday as well. But it was Wednesday that was a problem because the rectangles were too big and they weren't lined up. So on Wednesday, he did 8 minutes reading. So there's 1, and we've lined that up nice and neatly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Ah, Sonny, you've done a much better job there because all of your symbols, those rectangles, are the same size, and you've lined everything up. And the reason that is so important is because now, when we look at the pictogram, we can see straight away, oh, on Tuesday, he read for the longest amount of time. He read for 10 minutes on Tuesday. And Wednesday was he read for nearly as much as he did on Tuesday, but he didn't do as much reading on Monday. That's a good pictogram. Okay, so your turn to do something again now. So it says on the screen, pencils, rubbers, and rulers have been mixed up in a tub. Oh, don't you hate it when that happens and everything gets jumbled up? The tally chart shows how many of each item there are. Oh, so somebody's, a bit like we did with our pencils yesterday, they've gone through and they've tallied how many of each things there are. Now, this is what you've got to do. You have got to use the tally chart to complete the pictogram. So somebody started it and you've got to draw one out using your ruler and using the symbol. It says using a circle to show one item, and you've got to complete the pictogram. Okay, so pause the video, draw that out nice and neatly using your ruler in your book and looking at the spellings on the screen, and then come back once you've done it. Okay, how do they get on with that? Well, I've got a version here that somebody has done. Let's have a little look at this one. What do you think of this pictogram? Well, it's nice and colourful, isn't it? And we've used some nice shapes there. Do you see any problems? Have we made any mistakes? Well, there's a few mistakes there. For the pencils, we've got green circles. For the rubbers, there are also circles, but they're a little bit smaller. And so it's hard to see, it's hard to match them up because they're not the same size. And then for rulers, we've used a different symbol again. And if you remember, we said we were going to use a green circle to show one item. And we have to use a green circle then for all of our items. So how could we improve this pictogram? Yes, we need to use green circles of the same size to represent all of the items for pencils, rubbers and rulers. And we have to make sure we line them up. So hopefully that's what you did with your work. Let's have a little look at one that's completed. Here we go. So that's a bit better, isn't it? So we can clearly see now everything is the same size and everything has been lined up beautifully. We can easily see how well they are lined up. Look at all those things in nice, neat lines. And when we have everything lined up properly on our pictogram, it's easy to see the information there. We can see straight away that we have got the most rubbers and we've got the fewest or the least pencils. Okay, your turn to do a little job as well now. It says here there are some flowers in a garden. There are 4 sunflowers, but there is 1 less daffodil than there are sunflowers. There are twice as many daisies as daffodils, and there is the same number of tulips as daffodils. And you've got to complete a pictogram, and the key that you've got to use for this is to draw a flower for each item. So you can pause the video again here and take about 5 minutes to neatly draw out a pictogram. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, how do we get on with that? Well, here's one that I've started and we'll just complete this together. So let's look at that information. So the first piece of information that we had was there are 4 sunflowers. So I can show that by drawing 4 flowers. Then it says there is 1 less daffodil than there are sunflowers. So if there's 4 sunflowers, I need to draw 3 daffodils. Then it says there are twice as many daisies as daffodils. So twice as many, that's multiplying by 2, isn't it? So there are 3 daffodils, so there are 3 times 2, which is 6 daisies. And last of all, it says there is the same number of tulips as daffodils. So how many daffodils are there? 3. So how many tulips will there be? 3. So hopefully your pictogram looked a little bit like that. Now, there's just one last question for you on this pictogram, which is how many flowers are there in the garden in total? Can you work that out? Right, let's see. I can see there are 4 sunflowers, there are 3 daffodils, 6 daisies, and 3 tulips. If we look at those numbers, sometimes we can spot things that help us to make the addition easier. I can see using those numbers, 6 and 4, those are number bonds to 10. So I know that 6 and 4 is 10. And then I've got 2 lots of 3. And I know 2 3s are 6. So we've got 10 and 6 all together. So there are 16 flowers in the garden in total. So here we've got a pictogram. And this time we've used the symbol of a dog. The key says the picture of a dog equals 1 dog. And this is a pictogram to show how many dogs Sonny saw on his walk each day, on his daily walk. And we can see there we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday and how many dogs he saw. So there are some questions underneath for you to think about. How many dogs were seen on Wednesday? How many dogs were seen on Thursday? And on which day were the fewest dogs seen? Have a little think about that. You can pause the video whilst you think about it. Okay, How did they get on? So how many dogs were seen on Wednesday? Well, there's Wednesday, a picture means one dog. So Wednesday, we have got 3 dogs. And then the next question, how many dogs were seen on Thursday? That was 2 dogs. On which day were the fewest dogs seen? The fewest. That was Tuesday, because only 1 dog was seen. Okay, and we've got one last question here for you. How many more dogs were seen on Wednesday than Tuesday? Now, Sonny and Suki have got some ideas here. Sonny says he will subtract to find the difference. Is that what you would do? And this is what Suki's saying. I know an easier way to compare the number of dogs. I wonder what her way might be. What do you think? Let's have a look. Okay, let's look at Tuesday and Wednesday a second. So Tuesday, we can see there's 1 dog. Wednesday, there are 3 dogs. And Sonny is saying 3 dogs were seen on Wednesday. 1 dog was seen on Tuesday. So 3 take away 1 equals 2. How many more dogs were seen on Wednesday? 2. Sonny's absolutely right, isn't he? But Suki thinks she's got an easier way to do it. What do you think, Suki? She says, I could use the pictogram to compare. Wonder how she's going to do that. Let's have a look. Oh, I can see what she's done. She's drawn a line, because all of the symbols have been lined up, matched up in neat lines. She's drawn a line down, and she can see that there are 2 more dogs on Wednesday just by using the pictogram to help. That was a good idea, and that was a little bit easier, wasn't it? Good work, Suki. Now that brings us pretty much to the end of today's lesson. But before we go, I want to tell you about something that Yuya was telling me about called Karate Cats. And Karate Cats is a website. It's on the CBeebies, and there are lots of brilliant maths things. There are also English things to do, but it's really good fun. So we're going to have a quick look at it. So you can go onto CBeebies, onto Karate Cats, or you can Google it, and this is what you'll see.
Play.
Okay, so we're going to do some maths work here.
Woohoo! Welcome to the Karate Cats team. I am your coach, and I'm here to make you.
Now I'm just going to zip through this quickly, and you can choose lots of different activities. Let's choose statistics, because that's what we're doing. Bronze level, and here are some questions for us to do.
How many altogether?
Okay, so why don't you, when you've got a little moment, maybe you can do it straight after this, go on to Karate Cats and have a go at some of the statistics problems. The levels of challenge, we've got bronze, silver, and gold. So bronze will be the ones the ones that you can all do. Gold will be a little bit more challenging. So good luck with that, and that's the end of today's maths lessons. Today, maths lesson. We've only done 1 lesson, not lessons. Today, our question was, how do brilliant mathematicians use pictograms? And we have been exploring pictograms, drawing pictograms, and answering questions on them. But today, all of our symbols only represented 1 item. Tomorrow, we're going to do some pictograms where they might represent 2 or 5 or 10 items. So I look forward to seeing you then. Have a lovely rest of your day. See you tomorrow.